Right now, more people are living outside their country of birth than at any point in history. From 1990 to 2013, the number of so-called international migrants rose by nearly 80 million. According to the United Nations, more than 230 million people live outside their country of birth. That's about 3% of the global population. The United States remains the most popular destination, reflected by the smaller bar at the bottom of that graphic. And the U.S. is a country that's commonly called a melting pot because of its immigrant population. And while that's true, it hasn't always been the case, especially when it comes to China. CCTV's Mark New reports now on how a group of students in Northern California are working to correct an injustice more than a century after the fact.
These law students at the University of California, Davis are part of a project that could make an impact on history. They're asking the California State Bar to posthumously admit Chinese immigrant Han Yan-Cheng.
Just being able to take a stance and say and acknowledge that something in the past was wrong, I think can heal our society a little bit and help us to become more aware of this in the future and to take a stance in favor of diversity in the future.
Born from humble roots in Guangdong province in China, Cheng graduated with honors from Columbia Law School in 1886. After first being rejected by the New York State Bar on grounds he was not a citizen, Cheng reapplied and successfully gained admission due to his resourcefulness in securing a naturalization certificate from a court in New York. But when he came to California to help out the Chinese community, the state Supreme Court denied his eligibility to practice law, declaring his naturalization certificate from New York invalid. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 not only prevented Chinese labor immigration to America, but also refused courts the right to grant citizenship to Chinese residents already in the country. That act was finally repealed in 1943.
In the United States, there's a tradition of Chinese immigrants doing laundry work, doing restaurant work, owning grocery stores, and as I understand it, this is not because these were traditional occupations of these Chinese immigrants back in China. It's because of various sorts of discrimination, these prohibitions. I don't think that a lot of people realize that, even many Chinese immigrants today.
Chen is working with his students to right the wrongs of history and to shed light on a decision that is still in the books.
Even though we don't have that anymore, there's still built into our laws implicit ways that we treat other people as others still. And it's reflected in the way we do sentencing of certain people.
The Asian Pacific American Law Students Association here at UC Davis is spearheading the campaign for justice, but they are not the only ones eagerly anticipating a decision. 30 years ago, Rochelle Chong knew little about her great-uncle Han Yan-Cheng, but she tracked down a California Bar Association historian who knew more.
And he said, "Miss Chong, I know why your great-uncle was not allowed to practice law in California. I am holding in my hand a California Supreme Court case called In Re Han Yan-Cheng that specifically denies your great-uncle the ability to practice law because he is Chinese."
Ironically, Chong is now a lawyer with two cousins who are also California lawyers. And Chong continues the family tradition of trailblazing, having been appointed the first Asian American commissioner at the Federal Communications Commission in 1994. But she's still in awe of her great-uncle and what he went through to become the first lawyer of Chinese ancestry to ever practice in America.
You know, he got into Columbia Law School without an undergrad degree. That's just amazing to me. And then he fought through so many obstacles presented to him by the New York Supreme Court and a federal Chinese Exclusion Act to become a New York lawyer. He did it. You really have to say, if great-uncle can do it, so can I.
The one thing that did elude him, though, was the right to practice law in California. But a decision is expected this summer, perhaps proving that the wheels of justice never stop turning. Mark New, CCTV, Davis, California.